Hello, everyone. Let me start out by saying I love Elvis. I really love Elvis. Like growing up as a kid in the 90s, I was exposed to Elvis almost all the time, like everywhere. And this is like long after his death. When he died, like 77, 78, 79, somewhere around there. Um, and we were talking about at least 10 years. Now, a long time ago, relatively speaking. But back then, you still couldn't get away from Elvis. He was that popular. I mean, they had movies. I don't know, was it Vegas related that would have Elvis impersonators? They would have like Elvis sightings. He's alive. You couldn't get away from his music, whether on TV, they would play some of his songs, or definitely on the radio. At the time, I was listening to, in the 90s, the oldie stations. They would have like a bunch of them, like three, four of them. And obviously, each oldie station would have its niche. Like one would do like 50s, 60s, one would do 70s, one would do like everything else and things like that. And all those oldie stations, and when I consider oldies, it would be like in the 90s, it would be like basically up to 80s. So everything up to the 80s would be oldies to me. Funny, like these days, oldies would be like 2010s would be an oldie. That's hard to imagine. But anyway, so oldies back then. And all those oldie stations would play Elvis, whether it's, his early years or his later years. I mean, you get from his Hound Dog to like Kentucky Rain in the Ghetto. You hear it. And that's why when knowing about this and being exposed to Elvis, that's why I always thought, he's definitely the king, right? I mean, he's just, you can't get away from him even after death. That's how good you are, right? And his music, in like for many stations, if they're playing like an older group or older artist, you normally hear like two, maybe three different songs from their catalog, and then you would always hear that over and over. With Elvis, that wasn't the case. I pretty much, again, as I mentioned here, basically his entire catalog that were hits, I would hear him on all the oldie stations. So there's so much variety, and that's when I kind of put one and one together and like, hey man, this guy is just too good. Elvis is just the king, right? So funny story before I'll go on to what I really want to talk about, but he was so popular. I remember as a kid growing up, I went to summer camp for 2-3 years before I actually took it seriously and did summer programs. But in summer camp, I forgot what year. I forgot how old I was too when I did this. But they would have this summer camp I went to had a contest, and this contest was basically impersonate Elvis for like 10-15 seconds. So you would go up there and dress like Elvis, sing a song, do whatever you need to do as Elvis, and the audience would watch, and then at the end would vote like who would be the best Elvis impersonator. And then at that time it was like you would win a prize, and the prize was pretty good. I don't remember. I don't know if it was like a cash prize or like it probably would be like $5 or something, $5 or $10 or something around there at the time, which is a lot of money back then, at least for me. And so yeah, I was like, man, I'm doing this because I knew his music. One of my favorite songs back then, actually, it still is kind of. These days, it's kind of leveled off to many songs depending on the mood, but back then it was definitely "Burning Love." I think that contest had maybe at least half a dozen, maybe up to 10 kids. And each one would take their turn for 10 to 15 seconds, like doing their thing. So I went up there. I didn't have my hair slicked down or anything like that. I just kind of, as a kid, looked what it is. Kind of dressed like them a little bit. Early year Elvis, I don't remember what my mom did. I forgot what clothes I wore for that. It wasn't the bell-bottom one. It was his earlier years. But it wasn't even clothes. We couldn't get clothes that looked like it. So whatever kind of, I guess, simulated that era. And then I did my Burning Love impression. And here's the thing. Funny. I always thought it, with Burning Love is like a hunk of burning love. That type of thing. I thought hunk was hug at the time, like chug, rhyming with chug. So I'd be like going up there and then singing a hug a burning love. And I was trying to do like the twerking thing below the waist thing or something. And then like there wasn't a microphone or anything, but I faked it, like, just twerking and stuff like that. So I don't know. I think if anything, I heard a few laughs here and there, but that's pretty much it. I did my 10, 15 seconds of hug a burning love. And then, so after that, they lined all of us in a single line. And then the audience would vote, right? They would applaud whoever had they would have someone back kind of put their hand on top of each head. And then, based on whoever they put on top, the audience would applaud, and whoever would be the loudest would win. That's how it would go. The stupidest thing how they did this was when they lined us up all at once, the person putting their hand on their head basically went in order. Like, I was like, I'm pretty sure I was second to the left, to the last, and then they started from the right, and they went one by one, waited like a few seconds to hear the applause, and then go on. For something like this, you got to do that randomly, right? You got to go in the back, kind of sneak up to someone, and then do it, right? Otherwise, you pretty much would know who's gonna win, right? I mean, it's no, I don't know. I thought that was dumb. So when they basically, you could count the applause, right, or how long the length of the applause and the silence, and then wait. When it came to me, I knew when it came to me, and pretty much I heard like a couple claps here and there, and then waited, and then the guy next to me got a bit of a louder applause, and then that was it. And then they're like, "Who's the winner?" I'm like, "This is stupid." So I already knew I lost, right? And lost bad. If this was like American Idol or something, I'd be the first person voted out. That's for sure. So yeah, anyway. So basically, I did an Elvis impersonation as a kid, Burning Love, and I thought I should have won, to be honest. Mainly because I knew the song. And I did the impression. Everyone else was just singing. I get a lot of people dressed up. They had a lot of them had the fro kind of look with the sideburns, and then some even had the bell bottom look. So I guess from an appearance standpoint, look a lot like Elvis. I thought I did the better impersonation, even though I think I sang the lyrics wrong. And I don't know if my twerking got the right way or wrong way. I don't know. You're supposed to grind with Elvis, right? Kind of with the leg and all that. But yeah. Anyway, I still think it's more of a racial thing. Anyway, I don't know. I was the only non-white guy on that list of contestants up there. So anyway, that's my little thing with Elvis. But what I really want to talk about is this. Since I got that gold album, I've been collecting Elvis, and it's really compilation albums. I had the next album I got after the gold one was, it's called the Top 10 Hits of Elvis. This came out in the 90s. This is all in the 90s. So the Top 10 Hits of Elvis was a double CD set. That was my go-to for a little bit. Then I was able to get, I think it was called 50 Worldwide Hits. It was also a double CD set, but it had a lot more songs. And it's the white cover with the gold writing on it. And then at that time, even with Elvis albums, it would pretty much, CDs and so forth, there would pretty much be compilation. I don't recall ever seeing like an Elvis album, like an original studio album ever being sold. It's always some type of compilation. And later on, I realized Elvis is really a singles guy, not an albums guy. Now, he made decent albums in the beginning, but afterwards, especially his movie years and stuff like that, it's just straight trash. So later on, I understood why it's usually compilations that would sell and not his original studio albums. But so anyway, it took to a point where I started, because I really love Elvis, to a point where it finally got to this, the 30 number one hits. I think this came out in early 2000 or so. The Elvis comeback thing, revival, I would say. And in the follow-up album, Second to None with the black cover, those two are pretty much the definitive to me Elvis. If you're a casual listener, those are the two albums that you only need. That's it. It has everything and remastered and all that. Perfect. But being an Elvis fan, I did even after getting these two later on, I started collecting like videos. I got three of them. One of them was basically the companion to that, number one. So I got the video hits. There's also volume 2 to this, but so. And the other two I got were Aloha from Hawaii. And that one's so. I wasn't impressed with that at all. That one wasn't good. And then the last one I got was, the 68 comeback special. That's a damn good one. I highly recommend you watching that. He definitely came back and regained his king title with that. Definitely. That comeback special is great. I definitely recommend watching that if you haven't. And then I did collect, later on, a couple albums because they were cheap, but, and remastered mainly too, are these two. Now I know where the Clash stole the cover for London Calling. Now I know this album. If you don't know what I mean, look up the Clash, and look up the album cover for London Calling. I think that's the album. It's gonna look like this, at least the black and not the writing like that. So, anyway. So that's been my kind of like thing. I've been collecting Elvis, mainly compilations, things that look interesting. And then I finally got into this. This is like kind of right before the pandemic. I picked this up. If I Can Dream. Now, this album came out in 2015, believe it or not. It's relatively new. And I remember when this came out, when it was produced and came out, there were critics that were praising it. The problem with this album was it came out at a time, again, 2015, when most of the brick and mortar stores that sold records, albums, physical, were pretty much dying, clearancing, gone, like Circuit City, all the music stores like Musicland, FYE, that kind of they started to disappear. So when this came out, there was no place to carry it, or they wouldn't bring it up and sell it. And the only way you could get it was either directly from like Graceland or something like that. And yeah, I never picked it up until I was able to get this at a kind of a video game and CD vinyl shop. I don't know about vinyl, but that kind of place. And they had this on sale. I'm like, okay, give it a shot. And again, I heard positive reviews, and what can go wrong? Now, taking this home and listening to it, and listening to a couple times, before I comment on this, the basis of this album is if you could see, it's with the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra. So what's going on here is this, and this is from what I understand. They basically took the original Elvis songs, the masters, but they basically just took his voice. So they kept his voice, and any other background vocals that were like choruses and things like that, they kept the actual vocals. Everything else from an instrument standpoint, the bass playing, guitar, whatever, been replaced by the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra. And whoever was conducting or created this, arranged this, they would put their spin on it. That's basically what this album is, from what I understand. And after listening to it a couple times, this has been, I could say it's truly underwhelming. Like, it's mediocre at best. And here's the reason. Now, from the songs that I know, there's a few songs on here that I don't recognize. I think it came from his later years. Just basic covers of the later years. I don't think I ever heard of them, so I don't know. I can't really comment on that. But the songs that I do know on here, they pretty much stuck to the script. I mean, they kept it by the book in a sense. They didn't really do any humongous changes, if any, to any of the songs from a melody perspective. It's like if you were going to sing it like the original way, it would pretty much come out the same way here, at how you would sing it. No new, like, there's no like extensions that I can hear of, like like let's say a 30-second extended break or something like that for violins. I don't think at least for the songs I know, I don't think they're there. So they pretty much kept it by the book, just that they redid the instrumentation of it. Now, you would think, in theory, this would sound awesome. First of all, it would sound more louder in your face, kind of, because you got a whole orchestra behind the scenes, not just, bass and a guitar and a drum kit. They have that as well, and percussions and stuff like. I think percussion, I don't know, but they also have the entire orchestra backing it, like all violins, brass, anything you can think of in the orchestra. They have that, can do that here. So first of all, you would think it would sound much bigger, like kind of like the Phil Spector way of doing was it the wall of sound, that type of thing, like it'd be huge, right? So I was kind of expecting that, first of all, and I think that would have been awesome to hear it like more in your face, boom, like bigger sound. Second of all, you would think even if they kept it to the script, you would hear more unique way of doing some with the variety of instruments you would have at your disposal. You would be able to use more different types of instruments or combine them in a way that even though you keep it with the same melody and all that, it would make it more unique and more different and more special, I guess, on having his vocals, Elvis's vocals on it. The thing is, the 2 points I mentioned did not happen at all. And that's why I said it was mediocre at best. It's really below mediocre, this album. First thing, it does not sound big at all. What I mentioned, I thought it was going to sound big with all the orchestra behind it. It does not. It sounds almost similar to the original songs. I mean, at least the ones I know. Almost like I couldn't even really tell the difference. The difference I could tell was actually more of a negative effect. It seemed like Elvis's vocals were pushed back a little bit, in a sense that if I had to compare it to the original, like an original song on here, his vocal to this, it seems like this is more like, I'm not laid back, but pushed back. I guess it's the combination of trying to just grab his vocals and then overlay with the new instruments, and maybe having the instruments itself being more prominent so you can hear it more, I guess. So you kind of lose Elvis's vocals, and the problem with that is Elvis's vocals, he's one of the greatest vocalists. I mean, yeah, there's others, you can name a few, but Elvis is definitely in the conversation for best male vocalist, like pure sound, pure how he sings and things like that. Elvis is really second to none on that, for sure. I love Elvis's singing. It's just that, and you lose that in here for some reason. That's how I felt. So number one. Number two, because they stuck by the book. They really did stick by the book. I mean, there doesn't seem like anything different. Even with all the instruments at your disposal, nothing cool or unique or different, and keeping with the melody and everything came out of it. It just seems like a karaoke version, but the opposite of when karaoke you would sing, right? This is the instrument karaoke version. Like, basically that's what it is. Like when you listen to when you get karaoke music or you do karaoke, usually the background song is not it's not the original, most likely, like 99%. It's not the original. When you get singing on-screen lyrics, it's always done by some third-party thing that would use keyboards and so forth. I'm not saying it sounds bad like that on here, but that's what it seems like. It seems like it's just background music again. There's nothing wow to it. There's no wow factor to it. So, And another thing I dislike is I think it was they added an artist or two, like Michael Bublé. He did the Fever part of this. It's kind of almost like a duet or something like that. Why? I mean, I'm buying an Elvis album. You're doing this whole thing with Elvis, and you're going to go add like a Michael Bublé on here. Come on. I mean, why? I mean, I think Michael Bublé's Fever on his, I don't know if it's his debut album, but it's the Michael Bublé album, the early 2000s. One of his early ones, I guess on a major level. I thought that his Fever version on his own album was better than done in this one. I mean, why do it? Seriously, why? I don't get the point of doing that at all. So, and I'm gonna blame whoever. The concept is okay. The concept's pretty cool when you think about it. As I mentioned, there's positives to it if done right, if executed right. And I think whoever arranged doing this just dropped the ball. Totally dropped the ball. It brings nothing new to really, after listening to this whole thing a few times, nothing new to me from this. Nothing surprising. Like, wow, I got to listen to this. Even if it has to be different, if you had to break away from the script, I would prefer that if it adds to it or either enhances Elvis's original music or brings something different that's really unique and awesome to it. Like, none of that is on here. And that's why this has been the most disappointing, underwhelming kind of Elvis project. I'm not going to say it was a cash grab or anything like that. The reason why they did this, I think the intent was heartfelt, unique, right idea. It's just executed poorly from an arrangement standpoint and everything. I just thought, if you're going to listen to this, I can guarantee you, listen to this a couple times, you would just go back to this. Just listen to the original. Much better. His vocals on here are clear and, the way it's supposed to be heard. Not like this. And I'm going to make an argument, and I'm pretty sure people who are part of this project is going to be pissed off, but if I say this, but if Elvis had to do something with an orchestra, or he felt, a song or something would be better with an orchestra like this, backing it up, he would have done so. Okay? I'm pretty, especially at his height, at his peak, he pretty much had his say. He would have done so because Elvis was one of the greatest, like cover guys in a sense. He knew how to make a song his own. Like, he would hear a song he would like and then just make it his own, whether the vocal styling or the instrumentation behind the scenes. He would change it up a bit here and there and really make it his own, such that even if you knew the original, you would always prefer Elvis's version of it. I mean, that's what makes him so awesome. And what I'm getting at is, if he felt like an orchestra was needed, something like what these guys were doing, he would have done so already to begin with. Okay. Now, if he had to force into doing something like that, like an orchestra, and then let's say the songs he was forced to do using orchestra were the same ones on here, I could guarantee you the way he would do it wouldn't be this. Wouldn't be this at all. Hell no. It wouldn't be this at all. I think if Elvis was alive today and listened to this album, I think he would be pissed off. I sincerely think he would be pissed off at this. It's just not good. The positive reviews and whatnot, I have no clue. I don't know. Maybe there's just Elvis fanatics that are just anything that's Elvis with Elvis's voice is going to be awesome. Maybe that's the case. I didn't see any or hear anything good out of this. Again, it's just mediocre at best. Just listen to the originals. That's all you need. So anyway, I think the concept again is good. I just think it's executed poorly. The arrangements, number one, the main thing. Number two, kind of how they did the voice. I think they pushed it back a little. That's what it sounds like, at least to me. And number three, the song choices on here. I don't know. I don't know why they chose some of the songs. and then adding Michael Bublé, and I think there's another artist on here too. This is just the wrong way of doing things. Now, if you ask me to do an album like this, kind of the same way, taking Elvis's vocals and then doing your spin on it, or putting your arrangement over it, I actually would prefer not a classical orchestra or anything like that, orchestral type of classical style of work, but more of a jazz. Whether it's big band may be appropriate, or mix it up, big band or maybe like a quartet or something like that. Because when I see videos of Elvis's early years, and then he's playing with the Jordanaires, he's singing and the Jordanaires are playing, and then I see someone playing that upright bass, boom, 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 like that. The first thing when I see that is jazz. Like, I think of the quartets back in the day, jazz style. I think that would have been perfect. I mean, I think if you wanted to redo the music behind Elvis's vocals for any of his songs, I think a jazz type of music arrangement would be way better than a classical one. First of all, I think it would be more appropriate. Plus, I think you would have more leeway to do things with the bass, the drums. If you want to add strings, a horn section, and jazz has horns in general. You can add like maybe even a sax. I don't know, something like that. And then maybe still keep it to the script, but add a little flavor to it like that. I think you have more leeway with jazz than classical. I think that would be the better way to do this type of project with Elvis. So if someone does it, you heard it here first. Okay. If there's a jazz version of Elvis's vocals, give me some credit to it. Okay. But anyway, just wanted to let you know I'm not pretty, but very disappointed on this album. I heard it a few times, haven't really listened to it afterwards. Just stick with the original Elvis. That's all you need to know. All right, that's all I've got to say. Thanks. Bye.